So yesterday I made a video talking about Anthropic's repo that basically has an autonomous agent that just keeps on adding features to your code base. And me and my Discord channel decided to take that one step further and build a UI that basically wrapped that. So we have Automaker over here, and I'm going to kind of walk you through what we have built out. This is basically like a day of work or 2 days of work. So there's still a lot of stuff that we need to do. But hopefully this can demo the power of agentic coding and everything that we built in like that short amount of time. So the first thing I do want to demo is we have themes. So I do want to kind of switch through these themes. I got the retro theme, I got Dracula. This whole thing is completely stylized, and we can easily add in new themes whenever you want. I'll go back to Groovebox because I think it looks pretty good. But the point of this project is I wanted a way to manage all of my different projects. Like I have a lot of different side projects, and I want to be able to quickly switch to them and basically just have it add in new features from a single prompt. And then also we wanted this tool to be able to kick off various background agents as we kind of like, sleep or we go away. So we have an auto mode that just basically pulls stuff from the backlog and starts working on it. So let me give you a full demo. I'm going to open up a project that I have recently created called SendingForge. So this is basically like a newsletter application for sending and managing out your newsletter, your mailing list. Again, this is just like something that we can test out the prototype. And so when you first open up a project that Automaker hasn't seen before, it has to create some context around it. So what we can say here is I'm going to put an overview of what we're building. This is a newsletter management application where people can create campaigns and collect people's newsletters and assign them to various audiences and send out email in mass to different audiences that they want to select. They have an MGML email editor, and they also have a bunch of other features around basically just composing and collecting and sending emails for your SaaS product. That's probably a good overview, but basically you can describe what the project does, and then you can generate a feature list. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kick this off. And you'll see down here is basically generating the app specification. So I can just go ahead and switch over to like my Automaker project. We have shortcuts for doing a quick previous or next cycle through. So I can cycle to Automaker, I can cycle back to my SendingForge and check to see when it's done. And then when it's done, it makes an Automaker folder, which has that app spec that basically defines what SendingForge is. It's a newsletter, email marketing platform. It has like the tech stack already figured out because I started this project out with a Tanstack Start project already. I didn't want to create one from scratch. And so it kind of looked through here and it updated all of the technology stack to include all that. We have core capabilities, and here are a bunch of features that is basically listing out for us. And, a UI layout of how it kind of works, development workflow, implementation roadmap. So this is very similar to the last video I talked about with the Claude Code Anthropic autonomous runner. Now it should have also populated the feature list. I don't know why it didn't, so I'll have to probably go prompt that. But we do have another feature that we can kick off, which allows us to basically add in backlog items. So I'm going to click on this little icon here, and I'm going to say generate suggestions. So this will basically analyze your code base and try to figure out what features you currently have, and then it's going to add in new features based on what it thinks is missing. Okay, so while that kind of cleans up, I'm going to go back to Automaker, and I do want to document this bug. So I'm going to go ahead and just press in. It seems like when I open a new project and I kicked off the process to run an agent to generate the app spec file, it never updated the feature list.json. Can you double check all the logic for that? I need it to create both the app spec file and a filled out feature list JSON file with all the features that it figured out from the app spec. Okay, so here's basically the add new feature modal. We can add a feature. You can also drag and drop images into this to give it context. You can tell it what category this is going to be. I'll just say this will be a core category, and then I'm going to add this feature. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kick this one off. So I can just press G, and that's going to grab the first item from the backlog. It's going to put it over here. Okay, so right now it's basically running that feature, and eventually I can go and kind of look at the logs as it's churning this out, and we can see what it's doing behind the scenes. Now, right now this defaults to Claude Code, but there is a Discord user who's adding support for Codex CLI. Basically, this tool just wraps the Claude Code CLI and the Codex CLI, and we might add support for some other things as well. So while this is running, we can go to the agent runner. This is basically just a chat window where you can create sessions. And for example, can you describe to me what ORM we're using in this project? This basically kicks off a Claude Code instance that has access to your code base and just can answer questions. You can also just implement features directly from this if you want to. If you don't want to use the project Kanban, you could use the agent runner. It's a little issue. When I switched off it and came back, it looks like some of the indicators are gone and it didn't have this refocus. So I might actually go here and just go back to the Kanban board and add that. It seems like when in the agent runner, I had a session selected and I was prompting it, but then I switched back to the Kanban board. And then when I switched back again to the agent runner, it didn't have the last session I was using selected. Can you please persist what was the last session you had selected? And also the loading indicator for the agent, it seems like we lost that information. now it doesn't know that an agent is running for that session. Make sure when the session panel loads up, you do query the ICP for Electron to see if the agent is still trying to do its task or if it's done. Okay, and I'll go ahead and just add that one as well. We can come back. Oh, actually, no, I can kick this off right now and we'll let this run. Looks like this one's done. It seems like when I open a new project, it kicked off the process. So we can kind of verify this. We have a way to basically go through and verify this manually. Since this was a manual step, we have to kind of like do it by hand. You can go and ask follow-up questions. Like if you go and verify it and there's like a bug, you can just say, hey, I want to like fix this a little bit more. And it's going to reuse the context that it already has for that feature. So if you go up to Automaker, there's a context folder for the agents, and here is the context. So basically, as these agents are running through, it's keeping track of what it's doing, and so that you can kind of resume it if it were to fail, or if you need to kind of do those follow-up questions. Let's go back to Agent Runner and click on this session, and notice that it told us that there is actually no ORM, because we don't actually have an ORM with Automaker. It's just kind of doing client-side stuff and storing stuff in local storage and wherever you can store it in Electron. So one thing I could kind of fix here is the markdown here. It needs to be fixed. So I'm gonna go back to the Kanban board. On the Agent Runner, the markdown is not being formatted properly. Can you please bring in a React library to format markdown so that on a session window of the agent, it'll properly format the markdown? And then here I'll say Agent Runner. I can go ahead and kick that one off. Unfortunately, it looks like it just cleared out my featureless JSON. So now the other things I was working on, it's still running in the background, like the agent's running, but I just lost context to it. So that's a huge bug we got to fix in the project. I have to dive into the code to try to figure out what's going on there. But anyway, we can go ahead and kick off this one as well. Why not? Yeah, so I'm getting a concurrency limit. So we can actually increase the concurrency to 10. So I can actually kick this one off as well. Hopefully that'll fix the Agent Runner issue with the markdown. And while this is running, let's just go back to the Agent Runner and go to the session and just like have it selected. Because at some point this whole page will just refresh and this will be like nicely formatted. On the Agent Runner page, change the hotkey for making a session from W to new. I want all new feature buttons to be the hotkey new. All right, and there you go. You just saw it updated, and now we actually have a nice formatted markdown file. Now, I would say that the theming is kind of messed up. We have to probably fix the theming. But yeah, that seems like it's pretty good now. But yeah, I think that's about it. Now, if you are interested in kind of getting updates on this, we have an Automaker channel on my Agentic Jumpstart Discord. So if you wanted to join in, we're going to be basically building releases of this and probably publishing in this channel if you want to use it. Now, for right now, this is an exclusive tool. You can go and join the Automaker channel if you guys want to kind of talk about this or like test it out. It is exclusive for the people who are in the course. So if you haven't bought the course, you will not have access to this tool just yet. We may open source it soon so that everyone can use it, but we do have a lot of stuff that we're trying to polish up. So if you guys are interested in learning all the tips and tricks I've learned along the way by doing agentic coding, or maybe even if you're doing vibe coding, you can check out my course. I have over 70 modules, over 11 hours of content teaching you how to use Claude Code, how to use Cursor, how to prompt engineer, context engineering, how to debug with these new tools. We've got a whole Cursor section, we got a whole Claude Code section, and then we finally are going to be building out a full stack web application in this course, which I think is like the most valuable part of this course. From the ground up, we're going to be starting with a starter kit and building out an actual application hooked into Stripe. We have the Postgres database using Drizzle, and it's going to be great. A lot of great information in this course if you're trying to figure out how to become a more proficient and effective developer using these tools, because at first it can be kind of overwhelming. There's a lot of AI stuff going on. We have Claude Code Cursor, we have Codex CLI, we have Open Code. There's a ton of stuff out there, and I just want to make sure you guys are not neglecting learning about these tools, because they are evolving very fast and they are very, very useful. I have found them very useful, at least in building out this tool. This took us 2 days to build out, which highlights the power of agentic coding. So definitely go check out the course. And if you want access to this, when you buy the course, send me a message on Discord and I can give you access to a build of it if you want to test it out. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day and happy coding.